Jesus took Peter, James, and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, conversing with him. Then Peter said to him, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them, and from the cloud came a voice that said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched him, saying, Rise, and do not be afraid. And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. Hello and welcome to Close Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Bayer, your host, and we're glad that you can join us. Lord, it's good that we're here. The Transfiguration, the big change. You know, it's interesting the things that we seek to change. There's a commercial on television, and I don't even know what they're advertising, but, you know, hi, I'm Alice, and I've decided to reinvent myself. I was married for 20 years, and then I got a divorce, and now I opened up my business, and now Magic Books is whatever it is, okay? And it's like, just kind of casually, I've decided to reinvent myself. Marriage isn't for me anymore. You know, that covenant with God, that was a passing phase I went through in life. And it's kind of become a buzzword. Well, you know, I'm in the second half of life. I've decided to reinvent myself. And, you know, I always worked in an office, had on a coat and tie, and, you know, now I don't even wear long pants. I've reinvented myself, and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Okay, congratulations. When we are transfigured and not reinvented, when we are transfigured, the transcendent is central to the transfiguration. You know, we need to look at exactly what's going on here. Peter, James, and John, they were on an overnight camping trip, okay? I mean, they've been with the Lord, you know, and they know him. He's really, you know, they think he's the Son of God. This is pretty powerful stuff. Then all of a sudden, here are Moses and Elijah. You know, for an American kid, that would be like, yeah, you know, we were on a camping trip, and guess who showed up? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, you know, although that was much longer ago. And it was like, God, you know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know how you did that. But Lord, it's good to be here. Let us erect 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. We'll sleep on the ground. We just want to be around you guys, okay? And it was this incredible moment. And, you know, of course, the voice from heaven, this is my beloved Son with whom I'm well pleased. And then it's over. Then we go back to normal life. We go back to ordinary time. we go back to doing our day-to-day stuff. And nothing's changed except me. See, that was the secret of Peter, James, and John. They, and in the other accounts, and Mark and Luke's account, they talked about Jesus became dazzlingly white, whiter than the work of any bleacher. This is someone that they knew and they saw completely different all over again. What was it Yogi Berra says, deja vu all over again, okay? One of those things. This was deja vu all over again. I mean, they had seen Jesus, they had lived with him, they'd camped out with him before, and now they saw him in a completely different way. And they went back to their ordinary world with an extraordinary vision of the Lord. That was really special. That was really, really special. That the world hadn't changed, but they had. Have you ever had that thing? And people have told me stuff like, I thought I loved my wife. The moment I saw her with our first child, I fell in love with her all over again. And then I saw them with our grandchildren, and I fell in love with them all over again, or whatever. Then I saw her shave her head because she was going through chemotherapy, and I fell in love with her all over again. She was more beautiful then than I ever seen. People have those experiences. Someone they've been with for years, but now they see this person's courage. Now they see this person's faith. They've lived with them, they've been their spouse, and now they see him completely different because something has happened to change the way they've seen them. And that's a pretty incredible gift of God's grace to allow us to see the ordinary and the very common with a completely new set of eyes and a new heart to understand and see him and love him very, very differently. And that was the great example of Peter, James, and John. When they got back, and he always said, see that you don't tell anybody about it. So they didn't go, hey guys, guess what? We camped out with Moses and Elijah. But none of that. I mean, they were bursting. They were different. Something happened. And so that transfiguration, that conversion process, that's what it really talks about. It was interesting, and you all know I've done a lot of work in prisons, and some of these men are new men. Some of the same old guys with just different tricks, okay? But some of them are new men. They don't think like that anymore. They don't want that anymore. They're completely different. And something's happened, and they've seen life, they've seen people, they've seen the past with a whole new set of eyes. The question becomes, give me the name of your doctor. I need to go see that optometrist. I need a new pair of eyes. I need to see the world differently. I need to see my circumstances differently. I need to see my marriage differently. I need to see my family. I need to see my church. I need to see my neighborhood differently. And it really is a powerful process of conversion. It doesn't come from the outside. It comes from the inside. One of the things is for the people who have the luxury, and if you get the chance, please do it, who have the luxury to make a retreat. Get away for a weekend. Either they're couples retreats, they're men's retreats, they're women's retreats, they're youth retreats. Completely different environment, completely different circumstances. And you know what? You're different. Maybe it's just because you got a good night's sleep, okay? But you're different. You're different. And things, you know, and you take time and all the stuff I'd love to do that I don't have time. I read that book on retreat. I go sit with the Blessed Sacrament on retreat. I just go for a walk, you know, and look up at the trees. I'll never do that. I'm zooming by a carpooling kid somewhere as I'm bringing them to X, Y, or Z. And we take that time. And we say to ourselves things like, you know, it was so good, I hated to go home. I enjoyed it so much, I hated to go home. And I'm sure Peter, James, and John said, oh no, Lord, let's build a campground here. Let's stay here, okay? I like it up here. The question is, when we go home, has that transfiguration, that conversion happened? Same situation, different set of eyes looking at that same situation. And now all of a sudden, we see it differently. We treat it differently. We act differently with the people that heretofore I never knew what to expect. That's the transfiguration. You know, you get home and then you say, God, it was so wonderful. Now I walk in the house and you got me all upset and I wish I could go back at you. Whoa. Back up, buckaroo. It didn't take. It didn't take. You need to understand that that is what the transfiguration is. Didn't change the world. It changed me. It changed my eyes. It changed my heart. It changed the way I choose to live in the world. And it's that type of transfiguration, that type of conversion that we really long for. Whole different way of seeing things. You know, someone that I just kind of goes through life. I think he's got a contract with the Bluebird of Happiness on a regular basis. He passes over for a deposit, okay? Worst attitude. His mother died. He lived with his mom. 93. Horrible. Why did God take her from me? Until somebody walked up and said, do you know how lucky you are to have a mom to live to be 93? I lost my mom when I was in 10th grade. And all of a sudden, his eyes got big. You know, he's got grandchildren, he still had his mama. We got to change the way we see. We got to change the heart. That's not just a self-help book. That's a transfiguration event that calls for conversion. That's a conversion we're going to talk more about when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Father Jeff Baye from Closer Walk Catholic Communications. Thank you for being here today, and a special thanks for the support that you give us. First of all, your prayerful support we so desperately need, and also your financial support. We are donor-driven, and that is what keeps us on the air today. As you well know, the truth is in great demand and in very short supply, and mainstream media is not going to bring you the truth of the Gospels of our Lord Jesus Christ because that's not socially acceptable and it's not politically correct. Certainly we all realize that when this life journey's over, we don't stand before the Supreme Court, we stand before the throne of God. Therefore, with great clarity and great charity, to pronounce the truth of the gospel is important. Your prayers, your financial support enables us to do that. So we thank you, and may God bring you closer in your walk with the Lord each day. God bless you. While he was still speaking, Behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched him, saying, "Rise, do not be afraid." And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. Hello and welcome back to Close Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Bayer, your host, and we're glad that you can join us. Listen to him. And when they raised their heads, they saw no one but Jesus alone. You know, I think a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of people very sincerely, I want it. I just don't know how to do this. Can you give me a book? Can you tell me how to do it? Can you, I want to believe. Aren't you supposed to feel something when you say those prayers and that sort of thing? How do you do it? You know, and it was, if you remember, you know, from learning how to crawl to walking and riding a bike, we went in stages. You know, we didn't come out and jump up and go hop on a bike and tootle off, you know. We learned little by little. And the reality is people say, you know, I don't know how to pray. You know, someone gave me a book on prayer and I read it and made sense, but then I start reading these prayers and it's like, it's just words. And after it's over with, I don't feel anything in my heart differently than before I read those words. So, am I doing this wrong? But I don't think I'm getting any benefit out of it. First of all, when it comes to praying, I can't give you a formula of prayer. I can't tell you, oh, do this. This is the way you ought to pray. That's the way you ought to pray, and that's the way you ought to pray. Understand, at its basic level, prayer is communication with God. Now, have you ever had those people that the minute you say hello, they launch, and they don't shut up, and they don't take a breath, and you think they were vaccinated with a phonograph needle? They just go on and on and on and on. They don't even, it's like, please, oh, somebody, you know, somebody ring the doorbell, somebody do something, please. That's not what we want to do in our relationship with God. We don't want to have a monologue with God. You know, nor do we want to give God our wish list or our list of demands. Try this. Daily routine. Mark out 10 minutes in the morning. Okay? If you got to get up at 5 to get the kids off to school, get up at 10 to 5. Get you a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever, glass of tea, whatever you do. Just go sit. While the house is quiet, while the world is quiet, just sit and think about it. You know, today, I got to bring Susie to school because she's got a science project, and I got to meet with the principal about the little one because he got in trouble for doing something on the playground. Then I got to go to work. I've got a meeting, and I don't care what I say to those people are always going to object. They're going to try and lowball me. They're going to try and push me around. And then I've got a luncheon meeting with this. Then I've got to come back. I got to do dry cleaning, and I got to go grocery shopping, and I got to get in because her husband's not getting in until late, and I'm going to try and put stuff on the table. I'm trying to do this. And the kids need their homework, especially in math. They need someone to help them because they never get it done. All that stuff. Just sit here and say, God, it's crazy. I just need you in the middle of it. God, I just, when I'm talking to that principal, who aggravates me anyway, by the way, when I'm talking to that principal, God, I need you in the middle of that. I need you to kind of take over my tongue, because sometimes I let it get looser than it should. God, when I'm in that meeting, those people that are so pushy, help me to be firm and charitable and professional. Whatever it is, go through your day and just invite God into your day. But walk through specifically with your plans. Don't just say, oh, God, please help me today. You need to say, God, help me with so-and-so from that meeting. Help me with that principal. Help me with my husband or my wife because we haven't been getting along too good and they've been aggravated about this. Help me to overlook it. Help me to move. Whatever it is, start out. Take 10 minutes a day of you and God planning your day together. It's a good start. You don't need to read the Bible for 10 minutes. You don't need to attempt to say the rosary. You don't need to take someone else's prayer book and see how many words you can read in 10 minutes. You and God just need to spend some time together. But you need to carve out that time. And if you're one of those parents who say, you know what? If I didn't have a lock on the bathroom door, I'd never get a chance to pray, okay? I mean, I get it. Lives are crazy. They can get crazy. If we don't feel the presence of God in our lives, perhaps, excuse me, the absence is because we don't make room for Him. We don't make time for Him. And the best way to do it is to start every day with that little, okay, God, this is what I'm inviting you to today. And at the end of that day, just kind of do a little checklist. I did okay. I really need to change my attitude with that principle because whatever it is, you and God take 10 minutes every morning to talk about it. Where do we go from there? Well, I would hope that you thought that 10 minutes was really profitable. And you know what? You found out between here and work, they got an adoration chapel. And the Blessed Sacrament's exposed. So you know what? Maybe if I save a little 10 minutes off of my lunch hour, I can get a minute and go do the same thing before I get home. Because little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. And so, they're at that teenage stage and they're hitting puberty. And you know what? I just hadn't met any good gypsies to sell them to because I'd sell them in a heartbeat, okay? They're driving me crazy, And that attitude, they all want piercings and tattoos and over my all that stuff. You know what? Try to find that adoration chapel. Now, he's a pretty good friend of mine. Talk to him all the time. Matter of fact, I've gotten to where I just turn off the radio. And I know people think, I'm nuts going to work because I'm going down the freeway talking to myself. I'm really talking to God. But, people think I'm talking to myself. That's okay. We have a good I like that quiet time, And then, once I kind of feel like He knows me now and I can feel comfortable, then maybe I can go to a workshop in the parish put on by the retreat group and, maybe that centering prayer is a really good thing for me. Maybe charismatic prayer is a good thing for me. Gosh, I didn't realize all this with scripture study. I went to that Bible study in the parish. You know, maybe I've read it, but I'll tell you what, I don't remember it. It didn't mean as much to me when I read the Bible this time as I did last time. And that was really good. And, you know, the more I got into it, I really started seeing stuff that just kind of made sense. Even now, written so long ago, it just kind of makes sense to my situation. And then I start to feel this need for God. So now I want to get myself right with the church. You know, God, I can't remember when the last time I made a confession was. I think I was in junior high school, you know, and I've heard things have changed. I don't know what they changed. I'm scared to go and see the priest because they think I'm an idiot because I'm going in there and telling them it's been 20 years and I don't know what I'm doing. Try us. We love that. We love saying, baby, welcome back. We'll walk through it, take all the time you need. We're just so glad to have you back. Try us. You know, and then once you get back to the sacraments, and, you know, maybe try and realize what the Eucharist really means. You know, and before you know it, guess what? I ended up with a different pair of eyes. I see things different. I'm different. I'm different. I'm not that screaming Mimi chasing kids around the house, slamming doors anymore. I'm different. I handle it different. Yeah, they still drive me crazy, but I got it. I'm in control. Just take the time to invite God into your life. You'd be amazed at how those things start to take hold and how they flourish. Grace builds upon nature, but trust me, God is not coming kicking down the door. But whenever you open the door and you make the time, God is going to come in and get the best chair in the house and sit there as long as you want for him and make himself at home as long as you'll have him. That's how we begin the transfiguration process. That's how we decide to listen to him. And when they open their eyes, there was only Jesus there. Thanks for being with us. May each day bring you closer in your walk with the Lord. God bless you.